Well, the mom, Kouri Richins, who wrote the book on grief about her husband dying, and then she made the children's book for her kids. Like, hey, we'll get through this. Then she's accused of murdering the husband. She's not going to face the death penalty, is the latest. Careful consultation, as it was worded, as the Summit County prosecutors emphasize, has led the victim's close-knit family, his sisters and father, to a significant decision. If Kouri Richins is found guilty, she will not be sentenced to death. The judgment was documented at Utah's 3rd District Court and has been brought to public attention by media stalwarts like the New York Post. The accusations levied against the 33-year-old Kouri are quite grievous, as you remember. In March of 2022, it's believed she concocted a sinister cocktail by mixing lethal amounts of fentanyl with vodka in a drink known as a Moscow Mule. Note, fentanyl is not an ingredient in Moscow Mules.
Right.
This potent concoction allegedly caused the premature demise of 39-year-old Eric Richins, her husband, in their Utah home. What followed was really astonishing. Mere months after the tragic incident, Kouri published a picture book on grief aimed at aiding her young children in processing their father's death. But Kouri's legal troubles, with the beginning, arrested in May, she faced charges of first-degree aggravated murder, as well as multiple counts of possessing a controlled substance with sinister intent. Prosecutors have been clear on the nature of her charges. They will be tried for a non-capital first-degree felony. The married life of Kouri and Eric had commenced June of 2013, but as detailed in a prenuptial agreement that they signed, Eric ensured that his assets and debts acquired prior to their union would remain solely his, even in the event of a divorce. A significant point of contention was Eric's 50% ownership in CNA Stone Masonry, LLC, which he declared would remain under his sole proprietorship regardless of any financial inputs from Kouri. Yet complications arose after Eric's untimely death. He had reportedly transferred his business ownerships to the Eric Richins Living Trust. His business interest was eventually sold to his partner, Kouri Wright, with the proceeds from the sale accumulating to approximately $2 million. Asserting her rights, Kouri is now embattled in another legal battle, challenging those decisions. She contends that the family home, which the couple purchased in 2012 for $400,000, was not part of the assets specified in the prenup. Kouri's argument rests on her significant financial contributions, from the home's down payment and mortgage installments to funding amenities like a swimming pool and fencing. However, police documents present a very big twist to that. Prior to his death, Eric had allegedly expressed fears about his life being in danger due to his wife's actions. He'd taken steps modifying his will and granting power of attorney to his sister. He even set up a trust transferring assets, including the family home, without Kouri's approval. This isn't where the plot thickens, though. Eric's sister, Katie, claims that Kouri had misappropriated around $494,000 of Eric's funds. Allegedly, a mere 3 years into their marriage, Kouri's financial woes led to her siphoning money from Eric's accounts for her own real estate enterprise. According to Katie, Eric discovered withdrawals of at least $100,000 and around $30,000 of credit card debt, all attributed to Kouri. To further complicate matters, Kouri's alleged to have secured a $250,000 loan by fraudulently using Eric's power of attorney. Upon confronting her, Kouri reportedly confessed to these indiscretions and pledged to repay them. Shockingly, in January of 2022, Kouri allegedly attempted to change the beneficiary of Eric's life insurance account to herself. This endeavor failed, but more allegations followed. Kouri purportedly misallowed funds meant for Eric's personal and business tax obligations, with the misdirected amounts totaling to at least $214,370. Kouri, held without bail at Summit County Jail, is where she's currently at, awaiting trial for her husband's alleged murder. The situation on the night of Eric's death remains very murky. Kouri claims she tried to resuscitate him after finding him unresponsive, yet medics at the scene doubted this, citing evidence of blood around Eric's mouth. If you remember correctly, when this all happened, she made the cocktail and she went to the other room, and he died alone, having had that Moscow Mule of death. Reports indicate that in the lead up to the death, Kouri purchased fentanyl pills, around $1,800 worth. Eric's post-mortem symptoms, including an allergic reaction, have raised questions, especially since no painkillers were found in their residence. Friends and family also baffled, denying any knowledge of Eric's alleged addiction. The subsequent year witnessed Kouri embarking on lavish vacations with her children and then authoring that book, Are You With Me?, to aid children in grappling with grief. During an interview, Kouri remarked about the void available resources, stating, I just wanted some story to read to my kids at night, and I couldn't find anything that suited them. So I was like, let's just write one. Jeez. Well, isn't that innovative of Kouri? It's more like she needed to tell herself a story at night herself, that she had done the right thing and that she's innocent. That's what I believe the children's book was more so. It's her telling herself that things are going to be okay when obviously. Well,
and it makes it seem less nasty and severe if the story is basically, let's focus on a kid's book and let's focus on the kids instead of the fact that I allegedly killed their dad. Yeah,
these people are very crafty, and and you think of it. I mean, I was having this conversation earlier, not about this case, but something else, where when you have someone like this, or someone who had been doing such, like, just an evil life. I mean, it's the way that she was handling things prior to his death, the fact that he had to sit there and fear for his own life, which he was doing. He was moving these monies around. He was telling people, if something happens to me, look at her first. But he was staying there for those kids. That's hell to live like that. And it's insane when you walk out of it, if you survive it, and you're like, oh, holy shit, this really was crazy. It's scary, and it's horrible to have that sort of mindset. But the thing is, anyone who is putting someone through that, they're never going to come to grips with it. They're never going to see it the way that the victims are of, wow, this is really horrible. This is not appropriate behavior. This is traumatic. This is abusive. This is shitty. They will always find a way to somehow justify it in their own mind. Why? Because if they somehow did see that light and it's somehow shown to them and they're like, oh, holy shit, look at the errors in my ways, it would be so overwhelming that it would be honestly quite shocking if they continue to go on with life, because some dig their holes so deep, there's no way you're going to process that and go forward in any sort of normal mindset, unless some, and it's rare, but some truly do, and they completely atone for what has gone wrong. They realize it. They don't want to be that person, and they change their ways. Rare, but it does happen sometimes. But for the most part, I almost think our bodies, our minds are built in a way that prevents certain people from even being able to go that far because of the trauma of it. It's like a trauma response in other ways, except in a really kind of sick, twisted, manipulative, narcissistic way.
Yeah, and how might things have been different if Eric had just said, you know what, this is not working out. We need to part ways. I wish I could stay for the kids, but we need to figure something out and walk away. There would be no story here, I don't think, unless she would have taken it further and done it anyway.
I mean, that's the thing. Anyone who is calculating enough to do something like this at any point in time is calculating enough to do it at a different point in time. She had to sit there and think about getting these pills. She had to go procure the pills from someone. Then she had to make the damn cocktail. And he suspected that she had attempted to poison him earlier as well. So this is a constant threat that he was dealing with, just for his own life, living in his own home with his wife and his children. And he was in fear that his wife, in her twisted way of thinking, was going to end up killing him, which she ended up doing if, in fact, she's guilty. But yeah,
just a sick and tragic story, and it's the kids. Again, it's the kids. Obviously, Eric suffered here, but the kids are the ones who are suffering. They don't have their dad, and they're definitely going to end up losing their mom as well.
Yeah, and how do you square all of that up? I mean, it's just like, Wow. It's one if you have, it's already hard enough if you have one, that's missing. But you have now one that's missing who was a good person who is never coming back. They are dead. And you have the other one that's this crazy, evil thing. And I don't know. Those kids, hopefully, they are able to be surrounded by people who do truly love them and care about them and are able to live a life that is filled with that and not the evil that really appears to be their mother.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.